Hello, I am going to do a quick video discussing not necessarily this article because it's a little bit longer and I'm not going to read it. You can go ahead and read it yourself when you get time. I'll link it down below in the description. But this really stood out to me because within the church, we're constantly told, I guess, from general conference, in Sunday school, whatever, there's definitely an understanding within the church that the family is under attack. And most people have a different understanding of what that means. It means something different to me than it means to a lot of other people. And as I've said in a lot of my previous videos, I am a BYU student right now, and last summer semester, I took the Eternal Families class, and I'm not going to say who the professor was. I like the professor, he was great, and the class was good. And it was interesting when we got to the point where, because it was kind of the class outline, the syllabus. I think that's what guides the class. It was kind of based on the family, A Proclamation to the World, that was given in 1995. So we basically just kind of followed that in order for the most part, and discussed various aspects of that and the principles behind the family and the eternal nature of the family. Anyway, we got to a lesson towards the end of the term where we specifically discussed how the family is under attack, and in what ways is the family under attack, and who is attacking the family, even though that specific question didn't come up. And to me, it was very enlightening to, just look around the room. We're having a somewhat open discussion and people are sharing their thoughts. And obviously not everyone in the class shared their thoughts. There's a lot of people in the class, but I suspect that very few in that class would have given the same answer as me when asked the question, who or what is attacking the family? Right? So we have this consensus that the family is under attack, but the question is, by who? By what? And the most common answer that I heard, and not just in this class, but in church and Sunday school, whatever, whenever this topic comes up, everyone always kind of resorts to these vague terms like the world. Oh, the world is attacking the family. Well, okay, what does that mean? Most people can't define it. They don't know exactly who or what is attacking the family. They just know that it is under attack, and we're just going to blame it on the world, right? And that is about as useful as saying Babylon. Babylon is attacking the family. It's like, okay, so we can't identify who or what is attacking the family, and we don't really know how they're attacking the family, what methods they're using, in what way the family is being undermined. We just know that it is being attacked. And that, to me, that it's just really bothersome. Not that I necessarily want people to agree. Okay, that's a lie. I do want people to agree with me on who and what is attacking the family and why they're attacking the family, how they're attacking the family, but ultimately, I think a good starting point would just be everyone at least starting with a who or a what of their own. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. The part of the goal of me starting a YouTube channel is to explain my opinions on this issue among others, but this is one of the larger culminating principles that I would like to talk about, which is the attack on the family. And so this kind of branches out into a bunch of other things and topics. So ultimately, my goal is to persuade people to think the same way I think about who and what is attacking the family and how the attack is happening. But ultimately, it would just be nice to meet someone who actually has an opinion on who or what is attacking the family instead of just saying the world. To me, that's just very, very annoying. And that is why this article stood out to me so much when I read the headline. Obviously, as you can see here, want to dismantle capitalism, abolish the family. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph of this because it's very enlightening. That it should be pretty obvious from reading this who and what is attacking the family. So, this, I'm guessing that's Sophie Lewis, who is writing this new book. Anyway, I'll read this first paragraph. It says, arguably, the most infamous demand of the Communist Manifesto is the abolition of the family. Now, I have not yet read the Communist Manifesto. It's on my to-do list. But I'm just going to take this website's word and assume that this is, in fact, the most infamous demand of the Communist Manifesto, to abolish the family. So I'll finish this paragraph and then I'll give my thoughts. So the family, Marx and Engels noted, was where patriarchy and capitalism worked in tandem to produce willing, alienated workers, where women became little more than instruments of production for the men who lorded over them. Radical queer politics in the 1960s and 70s added to their critique of the bourgeois family when activists challenged the heteronormativity of familial relations. That demand, however, has since almost completely vanished from the leftist imaginary. I would argue that that last part is not true, as I personally believe that it is, in fact, leftist ideology, leftist political views, that is the primary source of attacks against the family in our current day and age. But just a few points to get across here. In the Communist Manifesto, I'm guessing, that capitalism, which is the antithesis of communism, is working in tandem with the family to basically create what Marx believed was just drone workers for the bourgeois, for the rich. And that's obviously a very interesting take on the reality of the situation. And another thing I'd like to point out, because some people might not know this, when they're writing, when Marx is writing that where women became little more than the instruments of production for men who lorded over them, a lot of people don't know this, but Karl Marx was married, and he also had a mistress who happened to be his maid. Imagine that, someone who is attacking the bourgeois and the upper class, the rich, and claiming to be in favor of the working class or the poor or whatever, has a maid. That's the working class wasn't famous for having maids, but either way. So Karl Marx has this maid who also happens to be his mistress while he's married, and he ended up getting her pregnant. And could you imagine what this person does? Who his concern here is that capitalism is producing these willing, alienated workers where women become little more than instruments of production for the men who lorded over them. So you'd think that Karl Marx would be all about treating women well. But this woman that he got pregnant, he just kicked her out. He's like, no, not having that in my life. He kicked her out on the street. She's not a maid anymore, so he was her employer. He got her pregnant and then said, okay, I'm not giving you any more money, and bye. And this person, Karl Marx, is held in such high regard among the left. Like, at what point does someone's personal immorality contaminate their political view. Like, I realize that there is a very fine line between separating, I don't know how to say this, the art from the artist. You know what I mean? Just because he was a terrible person doesn't necessarily mean that what he said or did, aside from the bad things that he did, were wrong. Because the same argument is being used against a lot of the founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson, who paved the way for the freedom of slavery, the abolition of slavery. Yet he himself owned slaves, right? So obviously there's got to be a little bit of separation there, but it is, I think, something telling that most people don't even know this. Like, everyone knows that Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Not very many people know that Karl Marx was having an affair on his wife with a woman that he ended up getting pregnant, and then quit paying her, fired her from her job, and kicked her out, and just completely abandoned her and his child. Like, what kind of a person does that? So that's really all. Just the first paragraph is all I'm going to read. I'll link to this, and I'll link to a video that kind of goes over the life of Karl Marx, because that is very interesting if you want to watch it. It is very enlightening on the person who wrote the Communist Manifesto. But ultimately what I wanted to do and accomplish with this short video is to lay out at least a groundwork for what I think is the main adversary to the family. Who and what is attacking the family and how. I think that it is communists, socialists, basically anyone and everyone who leans left politically. Now, granted, you could be, a little bit left and not necessarily be in this category. There are several people who are, registered Democrats, but are still willing to admit that they're capitalists. And so it is possible. I'm not saying that you cannot be a Democrat and be a good person, or not be a part of the problem that's attacking the family. But as we have seen recently, the shift in the Democratic Party in left-leaning individuals, it has moved very far to the left, where the mainstream of the Democratic Party is now embracing outright socialism, communism, all kinds of crazy stuff. So in the future videos I do, it will be not necessarily just about this whole dismantling capitalism and abolishing the family. I just wanted to point out that this is a very clear indication that there is in fact an identifiable thing, person, entity that is attacking the family. You don't have to say the world is attacking the family. You don't have to say Babylon is attacking the family. We can in fact identify people, organizations, other things that are in fact attacking the family. They do want to attack the family. They don't want it to exist. And very clearly, the Communist Manifesto is against the family. So you can kind of check that off your list as, oh, we're talking about how the family is under attack. And I realize talking politics at church is taboo. It's not really allowed. It's frowned upon. But I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. And I wonder what would happen if, this topic comes up and you're sitting at Sunday school and someone's like, okay, so we all know that the family is under attack. Like, how can we defend the family? And then you say, yeah, well, according to the Communist Manifesto, the primary goal is the abolition of the family. So defending the family would be opposing Marxist ideologies. Like, I really wonder how that would go in Sunday school. I haven't tried it yet, but it is, I think, helpful to identify who and what is attacking the family, not just acknowledging that it is under attack. Because how are we supposed to defend the family if we don't know who is attacking it, what is attacking it, how they're attacking it? Like, it doesn't even make any sense for us to discuss the topic if we're not going to be, in my opinion, brave enough to acknowledge who and what is attacking the family. And in today's day and age, it is at least in America, it is the left. Maybe a majority of Democrats at this point are embracing political ideologies that directly attack the family. They have the express goal of eliminating the traditional family. So that's all I'm going to cover for this video. I'll do more videos about the specifics on how they're going about that. And obviously, once we know how they're attacking the family, we can organize in a sense or use our vote more intelligently to defend the family and push back against these attacks. And I would also, in the future, I'm going to be doing videos specifically on why they're attacking the family, why the family poses a threat to what they want to accomplish politically. But for now, I'll leave you with that. Leave your comments down below whether or not you think this is accurate, whether you think I'm wrong, if you think it is bad to call out by name who I think is attacking the family. Or, if you think that we should just leave it all vague and just say, oh, the world is attacking the family. Go ahead and leave that down below. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Either way, I look forward to hearing your comments and potentially updating my views on this. But for now, this is the way I see it. The Democratic Party, by and large, is the biggest identifiable entity that is attacking the family. So I'll leave you with that. Hopefully this gave you something to think about, and have a good day.